So I thought we would just check in with the Danvers and the Silkie chicks. So these are the last of Barry's babies for the year. There's 5. Hello. So you can see they're all still quite small. So they are in the chicken shed. Now I really should have got a bigger shed. Hindsight and all of that, because this shed is not really big enough. There is Bruce. Some lovely little Danver girl. So yeah, everybody's really well. The only thing is I'm going to have to install some proper roosts in this, because at the moment what they're doing is they fly up onto this and then they roost here. And then they poo and they sit in their poo and then it gets all over their feet. So once a week I'm having to basically take them all into the house, into the sink and wash their feet. I've put a roost up here. So what I'm doing every night is I'm picking my hens, when I come to take the roosters away, I'm picking the hens off here and I'm putting them up here so they realise this is where to roost. And then obviously when they poo it falls down and it's easier to clean up as well. But they're all very happy. Now I'm not a huge fan of fuchsias, and certainly ones like this I really don't like, but these are very pretty. Now I know it is November and it's not the ideal time for taking cuttings, but I am going to take some cuttings of this lovely little fuchsia before it gets frosted. And I'm going to take them home, and what I'll do is they will be kept on a warm windowsill inside to root. Then they'll be moved into my conservatory over winter where they won't get frosted, they'll get a little bit of warmth, and then next year they can be acclimatised outside. This one's actually fully hardy, it's outside all year round. So what you want to do, you're not going to find them without these flower stems on, so I'm going to go back in here and make a cut. And now I've got a nice piece, and what I can do if I lie in here is I'll take the flowers off and then I'll cut this into probably 2 portions, this into possibly 3, this into 3, strip off obviously the bottom leaves as we always do with cuttings, and dip them into the ground. And then if any of the cuttings on this end, so the tips, start to produce more buds just as they are rooting, just take off those buds so all the energy goes into the root and not into creating more flowers. Well, these succulent flowers are very nondescript. I wouldn't say they're particularly pretty. I would say they're kind of just, they do their job. They have the pollen. They're trying to procreate. They come off this succulent here, so I'm just out looking after the succulents. I've left them a little bit too long. You can see the leaves have started to curl up, so I'm just giving them a good water with my spray. So I just spray. You can see down here how much these little baby ones have now set root. So all these little Echeveria ones have really set root, and we've got some roots over here. So we've got tons of root growth, which is really, really good. And then I'm just spraying everybody else. This is the new euphorbia that I got a couple of weeks ago. And then everybody else is doing really, really well. This too is a euphorbia. And it's really nice. I like its architectural shape. So yeah, just giving everything a good spray, even though it's winter, because they're inside. I like to keep them relatively moist, so they do a little bit of growing. So over the past couple of nights it's been cold, it's been windy as you can see, and it's sent the last of the dogwood or the cornus leaves falling to the ground. And now of course these beautiful stems have been revealed. And this is why it's just such a fantastic plant. In the summer it gives a great backdrop. It just has a normal green on it, and it's a great backdrop plant. But in the winter these stems are revealed, and you can get them in red, orange, yellow. Really, really lovely. And what you'll remember I did was earlier in this year, this was a small plant and it only had 2 stems. And early in the year I literally just cut it here and I cut it here. And because of that it's created new growth. And so again next year I will do it again, I'll cut it right back down, and then hopefully those stems should double as well and I get more and more of this beautiful red. So it's Cornice dogwood, really fantastic plant. Need to get a lot more, and also possibly take some stem cuttings as well, because it's such a fantastic winter interest plant. Well, this is the state of my dahlias. We actually haven't had a frost yet, but the cold nights and the humid air you can see has started to create mildew on the leaves. There are no more buds, so it's about time to start thinking about lifting them, ready for winter. So dahlias really don't like the wet. They can survive cold quite easily, but they do not like wet. And what you get in the wet is you get these awful leaves that die off, and then the tubers deep down in the ground, they just get wet and they go rotten and they don't survive. So what you want to do is you want to lift them, shake off as much soil as possible, and then I dry mine out for a couple of days in the greenhouse. I'll just allow them to dry, and then I wrap them in newspaper, and I leave them in newspaper until the spring when the shoots are coming out, and then I pop them on into pots to get them going and save them from slugs and snails. But you can see that the last of the flowers are really gone now. There's just these buds left, and then we have a couple more down here as well, and you can see again completely gone over. So I need to dig them all up. And the nice thing as well of digging them up, it means you can move them. So this is quite a shady bed, and I've decided that next year they're not going to go into here. I'm going to put them in a more of a sunny position and see how they do. So that is today's job, digging up all these dahlia tubers and putting them to bed for the winter. Well, here are the layer girls. You can see I have removed, as you can see, there were two big bins here and they were filled with chicken poop. And the problem with urban homesteading is there just isn't space to compost all that chicken poo down. So it's been there a while. I finally decided I'd put some into the compost, but mostly I've bagged it up and put it in the recycling to go to the dump, because there just isn't the space. You know, if you're on the farm you can make these big manure heaps, but in a small backyard there just isn't the space. This is also actually concrete under here, and it floods, and we're getting a lot more rain at the moment, and under this branch here it pools. So what I've done is I sluiced it out yesterday, and I've actually got this Verdure, and you might have seen this before. I use this in my brooders, and it's just a horse pellet powder bedding, but it's really good, absorbent and good. So I've put a bit of that down to absorb up some of the excess moisture. And the girls are just kind of, and the boy, are just kind of chilling out on this cold day. Well, you know on the veggie tour how I said I hadn't got any spinach plants? Look what I just found. I had completely forgot. So I just have this single tray. There is some lamb's lettuce, there is some rocket, and there are what? 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 or 6 spinach plants. And they won't do a lot now. They're in the greenhouse. They're in this little individual plug tray. They may grow a little bit on warmer days with the door shut. They may grow a little bit, but they're probably just going to sit around looking like this until we get some warmer weather. But I'm really happy that I discovered some spinach that I completely forgot that I had. So I've got that in here. I've also got a few ornamentals. So this is rose campion that I'm going to be putting into that shady border next year. It actually has green leaves to start with, but these will turn silvery white, which is great for shade. And then there are a couple of other little straggly things in there as well, and there's a foxglove. But the most important thing is I have found some edible greens